Hey guys, welcome back. Time for another quick tech. I've got this very nice 5-string F bass on the bench today. She's had a fret dress and a setup. Was just buttoning it all up when I noticed that the battery box has a little break in it, so better do something about that. So as you can see, this is not just broken, it's actually missing a little tiny piece of plastic here, and this door is actually quite fiddly to lift. And I can kind of imagine that at some stage someone might try to lift it and kind of pull this through and actually break it further, maybe even bring the battery box right out of the base and possibly break the wing off on the other side. I could contact F-Base and see if they still use these particular battery boxes. This base is over 10 years old, so I'm not really sure. But even if they did and they sent me one, well, shipping from Canada to Australia is pretty slow at the best of times. I might be able to find something like this closer to home. But to be honest, this is actually repairable and it's not that hard and it's fairly quick to do as well. I'm going to use Loctite 480 for this. The technique is more or less the same as a drop fill. I'm sure I've talked about Loctite 480 on the channel in the past. It's an industry super glue or a cyanoacrylate glue. It's really high quality, but unlike regular super glue, which dries really hard and kind of crystalline and brittle, this actually has a black plasticizer in it, so well, it dries like hard black plastic, I guess. It is very good, but there's a couple of things you should know. Firstly, you really need to keep this cool. I actually store this in the fridge when I'm not using it, especially in summer. So I always buy this locally from an industrial supply, sort of like a bolt shop, a few suburbs away. They sell a lot of Loctite products and they actually have a little Loctite kind of glass display fridge with all of their products in it. So I know it's kept correctly and it's also kind of fresh because they turn the stock over, so that's one thing you should know. The other thing is that it can settle slightly, so I always give it a stir or a bit of a shake before I use it. I'm also going to use a plastic primer pen. These are the things that come in the all plastics super glue kits that you buy at the hardware store. The super glue in those kits, as far as I know, is just regular super glue, but it's worth hanging on to these primer pens. They've got some kind of acetone based solvent or something like that, but they certainly do work and they work very well for plastics. And I'm also going to use a super glue accelerator. This particular one is Zap brand Zip Kicker, they call it. I'm also going to use some toothpicks. I've got some masking tape, a rag, and yeah, I'll probably use some little files and abrasives later on. So I'm going to unscrew this and we'll get into it. Okay, so the first step is to just paint all of these surfaces with my plastic primer pen. Try and get it in there as well. I'm not sure if the camera can catch this, but as that dries, you can actually see the plastic sort of lose its shine. It kind of dulls it back a bit, and I guess that's what makes the glue stick. Next step is use a little masking tape on the back. I'm just going to use a little tray. This is just a lid from a water bottle for my glue. You waste a little bit that way, but you get a lot more control by applying it with a toothpick that you can just sort of blunt by taking the top off. I've got a little pool of glue sitting in there, so I'm going to spritz that with accelerator. Oh, it's actually flowed into the hole, but that's okay, we can re-drill that. So I'm just going to fill that again, just build that up where the gap is. And with the accelerator in there, that will dry almost instantly. So I'll just put another drop on And I'll also spread it around the edges a little. And I'll spritz that just again with the accelerator. So I'm also going to just smear a little on the back to kind of reinforce the repair. So first, once again, I'll just put some of this primer on. Just going to paint a small area like that. So I've got a couple of files here. I'm just going to recreate the round. Actually, I think I'll use this file. So I've started filing this, and you can probably see a little shiny spot. That means there's a little dip there. I'm going to put another drop of Loctite in there. So you can see that's still just slightly proud, but that's okay. That's what I want. I want this to be like a little bit of a reinforcement in there. So I'm just going to re-establish that countersink by hand. So I'll start with 1200 grit. Just trying to blend that in. This is 1500 grit. It's pretty close. And 2000. And finally, just a drop of swirl remover on the rag. And we got a bit of a polish there. Well, it's not completely invisible, but I think it's not a bad repair. Yeah, well, that worked out pretty well. Fairly simple repair, to be honest, and quick too. It really only took about 5 minutes from start to finish. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Please give us a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel if you're new around here. But for now, I'm going to say thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.